Hello everyone, it's 𝐒𝐻𝐳𝐸, and in this video it's my first listen to the new Earl Sweatshirt album, Sick. I've been a fan of Earl since his 2010 mixtape back in the Odd Future days. I'll never forget first hearing that self-titled song and its disgusting music video. Earl's talents were immediately apparent, but he's only gone on to become more and more original and creative. His most recent full-length album, Some Rap Songs, was a bit of a creative peak for him, and I was pretty much in love with its thick atmosphere and endless stream of ideas. So of course I've been looking forward to this new album, and the singles have only got me more excited, especially 2010 and Tabula Rasa. So the rest of this video will be highlights from my live stream over on Twitch, where I listened to the album in full for the first time. If you'd like to join me for some full album listening parties, you can follow me over there at twitch.tv/𝐒𝐻𝐳𝐸𝐿. So do me a favor and click the like button on this video, and let's get into the album. This is Sick, and it starts with track 1, which is called Old Friend.
I don't cross the picket line and get the virus. Wildcat has got him in a bind, hella pain, heavy brain in the cat skills. Play the shade.
Next song is the first single, 2010.
I'ma need a bigger bag for the cohort. Left the crib, smack no sheep on the sword. Made it by the skin, threw me loose change. Look at what I made of it. When the mood change, I'm a poker face. Living on a fly, trying wing it.
Love those synthesizers.
Rekindle.
Fantastic start.
Yes, sir. This nigga spitting.
So I've loved 2010 since it first came out as a single. I have to say, on my first listen, possibly first 2 listens, I was so taken by the beat, the instrumental, that it was hard for me to take in even a few of Earl's lines. By this point, it's starting to sink in and I'm just taken with the whole thing. And Earl sounds fantastic. On Old Friend as well, he sounds invigorated. The production on this album as well sounds so clear compared to Some Rap Songs. And, you know, part of Some Rap Songs' charm was its chaos, and the production style was so thick. It really sort of swamped you, and that was something I loved about it. But it's really refreshing to hear Earl sounding so... You can really, like, hear every syllable, and to hear Earl like that, it feels like he's coming out of the woods in some way, and that's exciting. And you know, it comes not at the expense of the creativity, because I mean, this new stuff, it sounds wonderful. We've got the title track, Sick. Here we go.
And I'll give you a kiss.
Spin another web. Head home, Mr. Spitz, like I'm Spider-Man. Can't go outside no more, cause niggas sick. Fuck a second chance.
So the lyrics in that one confirm that sick is referring to being sick. That song was pretty interesting lyrically, but I wasn't too taken with it musically. It was alright. Earl sounded a bit like he used to on his first couple albums, you know, that slightly more sleepy flow, which I think worked pretty well for the context of what he was saying. When Earl put out the third single for this, which was Titanic, I was quite shocked by the more traditional sounding trap beat, and I wondered if that might be a lonely track on the album with that style, because the first 2 singles don't have a trap style at all. But that song also did have a trap beat unexpectedly, and it was a cool beat, but not really anything special. So yeah, not my favorite track, but you know, pretty cool and relevant. Logan said that the next track is the best on the album, possibly, and it features Zeloopers, who I know from his feature on Injury Reserve's album last year, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, and he was pretty great on that. So let's get into this. Vision.
That would be simple.
I with the vision myself. I had the fear for myself. All of my bitches do well.
Cinematic.
My bitches shine like jewels in the street.
Yeah, that piano sample's crazy.
Laugh with me, free me, just remind me where I'm from. Gas flowing, bitch. I did some dirt and click. We ain't got click, but my fuck on my face with syringe. Fixing my face, feigning interest.
All right, so we had another trap beat on that one unexpectedly, but this time it was quite a bit more impressive. Loved those piano samples all over the beat. And yeah, as expected, Zeloopers and Earl Sweatshirt, great chemistry. Their voices sound really good together. I didn't catch too much of what was being said in the song. Something about miss me with a syringe, I think, but Anyway, it sounded great. All right, the next song was the second single. It features Armand Hammer, and it's called Tabula Rasa.
Some talk like they never got punched in the face. You can't see clearly now. Don't come near, and then we drive them on empty. Zimbabwe, bury me in a ball shoot.
Venture there and back, tall tales tossed to the breeze. Familiar tracks, I know what's real even when I'm feeling bad. Resilient as they built the black Southpaw under the North Star, forcing all the lead change.
Beautiful. I love the samples in that one, the vocal sample and the piano. Again, it's more of these natural samples that just sound so sweet. But yeah, the great thing about that song is the way that Armand Hammer goes so hard over the top of that gorgeous, gentle, subtle beat. You know, I just love that juxtaposition. It sounds fantastic. And again, great choice of feature because the guys of Armand Hammer, they sound great with Earl, fantastic chemistry. I mean, plus the chemistry those two guys have together. You know, Billy Woods is sounding excellent. He's on top of his game right now. Great track. I loved it since I first heard the single. Sounds great in context of the album. Also want to say that that song and Vision, uncharacteristically long tracks for Earl, you know? Doesn't just give you the idea and move on. Really lets it breathe. And, you know, with the features as well, you really get a decent exploration of the sound, which is really cool. It's different. That being said, it does make me wonder if we're going to get enough ideas on the album because, you know, those two ideas we got were quite stretched out. So, yeah, I do wonder how complete this is going to feel by the end. But, you know, we still have 5 tracks to go. So let's find out. Track 6 is called Lie.
Yeah. With every triplet of trips around the sun, some of the slugs get
great.
thick. I'm chipping away, Wallaby soul stained gum, exploring a couple dip straight to the jar. I couldn't stand it any longer.
That sounded great. Love the sound of those horns, but Earl sounded great over the top of it as well. You know, really a great track. Just a short one that time. We're just given that sound. Earl flows over the top of it. Sounds great. All right, next one's called Lobby, in brackets int. Maybe that stands for interlude. And the next song is quite short as well. So let's let these two play into each other.
Heavyweight on my back, Chamberlain with the stats. Don't play with it, sailing the land.
Bit more trap from Earl. This one's pretty cool. Track 8 is called God Laughs.
The cheese sit in the trap, wait, it snapped and we break. Never had nothing to say to Boo Raymond. Since Hazel made sense of it.
Very nice. Loved the atmosphere on that one. And the way that the vocal sample was implemented in that one, it reminded me of early 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐿 Casino stuff, you know, like A$AP Rocky's first mixtape, Live Love ASAP, you know. Yeah, sounds really nice. But the way that Earl sounded like he was standing far away from the microphone, along with that kind of dreamy beat, that was an interesting sound. Yeah, I was pretty into that. Okay, track 9 was the third single. It's called Titanic.
Like Machiavelli. Came home in the 2011, Pasadena, John, another Hemi. Did a dash, got out of Dodge.
That one's actually grown on me since I first heard it. When I first heard the single, I was a bit disappointed compared to the first 2 singles because it's a bit more conventional. It sounds like a beat that you would hear Freddie Gibbs on. You know, that's how it sounded to me. But I have to say, Earl manages to make it his own. I mean, it's not like he just raps like Freddie Gibbs on it or something. He does his thing on it and sounds great. And it's great to hear Earl sounding so on point. Most of the time on his last albums, he can sound a bit dreamy, and most of the time it works. But it's nice to hear him giving it some energy, you know. All right, we're on the last song. Track 10, it's called Fire in the Hole.
Yeah, see blood. Far be it from me to plead with y'all. Hit leaning into the crutch, speed patching holes.
More great sample.
Rewinding. For the umpteenth, I read it and don't respond. She see it and sprinkle salt. I needed another go.
Kind of sounds like a MF Doom beat, this one. Oh, wow. Gorgeous. And I especially loved the way that that piano flowed so perfectly from the guitar sample that was playing before it. You know, it wasn't just some other piano figure. It was perfectly in tune, sounded lovely. Wonder if it even comes from the same song, the sample, or if it was piano played especially. Who knows? Sounded great anyway. And yeah, that was probably a highlight on the album, the last track. Earl sounded fantastic over it. Really pretty song to go out on. I do feel quite satisfied with the album. I do feel it covered a decent amount of ground and had a lot of different atmospheres and feelings throughout it. That's always what I look for in a great album. You know, it takes you on a bit of a journey. I love that. Even Earl himself, his delivery varied so much across every track, and I really liked that. You know, we never knew quite which Earl we were going to get on each track. It's like he was a bit of a chameleon on this album, morphing his voice to fit the beat that he was on each track. That being said, I think that more than any Earl album yet, I wasn't really tuned in to the lyrical themes on this one. Like, for me, I don't force myself to go looking for lyrics in music. If the lyrics jump out at me, that's great. If they don't, if I just end up focusing on the music, that's also fine. But it just so happens that on every Earl album before, I've at least got into some of the themes. Like, usually some lines end up jumping out at me and I get a feel for what he's going for. And that wasn't so much the case on this album. Earl's delivery sounded fantastic. I mean, I was quite taken with the way Earl was rapping on each of these tracks. It sounded great. And musically, I was really into this album. You know, the much more organic nature of it and the really prominent use of like soul samples and maybe even jazz samples here and there worked really well. On the whole, an album that I feel really into and that I enjoyed, that I'll enjoy returning to. But I do wonder if I'll get an idea of the lyrical ideas on this, or if this will just be more of a mood album for me. In terms of the length and the number of tracks, I have to say I do feel like it could have taken one or two more tracks, and it might have felt a bit more well rounded out, which was not a feeling I had with the last Earl album, despite it being the same length. Because some rap songs, as I said before we listened to the album, felt so packed with ideas, it was overwhelming almost, whereas this album was very easy to digest. Went down real smooth, but that just meant that, yeah, I feel like I could take a little more. But I wouldn't go as far as to say I was unsatisfied. I do feel that I got what I need out of it, which is cool. So let me know down in the comments what you thought of this album. And I want to say thanks very much to my current supporters over on Patreon. Whatever tier you support me at on Patreon, you get access to my full archive of unedited reaction videos. And you'll be helping me to be able to keep making these videos, keep my channels going. So I really appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take it easy.